reading Influence by Robert Cialdini, and it is a crazy good book. Just item after item, study after study, proving theories. It's one of those books like you've heard of a lot of what the guy's talking about, like it's important to do what you don't want to do first thing in the day. But all the other books I've ever read say that, and then they give some kind of opinionated reason as to why. And this guy, Robert, does a really great job of explaining very clearly through studies why. Another good example is the rule of expensive equals good. I mean, we all kind of know that we have this underlying thought that if something's expensive, then it tends to be good. But he goes in this overly elaborate explanation as to why and how to use it to your advantage and leverage it in marketing. And it's so applicable to everything that you might be doing. And then there's other things that maybe you haven't really thought of. And it makes you think about how to capitalize on human behavior and make more progress in what you're doing, or get people to act a certain way, or really, like it says in the title, persuade them to do something. So another example is the idea of favors, and reciprocity is a big topic early on in the book, and talks about, he doesn't just say that you ask someone to do a favor and they're more likely to do something back for you. He talks about in great detail to what extent that applies and how to leverage it. And he goes into, and again, he's not just giving his opinion, he's going and doing these studies, testing it to find out exactly what works. So in one specific example, he asks people to do them a favor, and the word "because" gets people to comply. And he tested different ways of asking. It comes down to this little sentence I've underlined here. A well-known principle of human behavior says that when we ask someone to do us a favor, we will be more successful if we provide a reason. People simply like to have reasons for what they do. So if you ask someone if you can cut in line to use a Xerox machine, they're less likely to comply. But if you say, "Excuse me, I've got 5 pages, I'm in a hurry, can I get ahead of you because I'm in a hurry?" they're more likely to comply because you used a reason as to why. And then he goes on to test being in a hurry might have been the catalyst to them allowing you. But then he goes on to test that, "Hey, can I get in front of you in the Xerox machine because I need to make 5 copies?" That's not there's no real motivation there. Obviously, they needed to use the machine, so it was the word "because." That was a really interesting thing to hear, because if I am going and communicating with whoever it might be, trying to persuade someone in some way or another, I need to remember to use the reason, the word "because," and people will be more likely to let me in front of them. I actually tried it in the grocery store yesterday. I had like 10 items, and this lady in front of me with her husband, they had 20 items. So it wasn't like I had one item. I said, "Hey, can I go in front of you because my wife's waiting in the car?" And they said, "Sure, go ahead." There was no reason for them to do that. We had about the same amount of items, and it was just fun to read this book. I don't know if I'm not doing a test myself. It was just fun to apply what I was reading here, and I'm looking forward to trying to do it in more of a professional capacity. This book gives example after example about how humans behave and how to take advantage of it to leverage different situations and different language and different words to your advantage and persuade people in subtle ways. I mean, they even go back to prison war camps and looking at the way the Chinese behaved and treated American captives. So, it's a really great book. It's dense. It's like a textbook. It's going to be a slower read for a lot of you. It's a slower read for me, just because you really have to stay focused to actually absorb a lot of it. Some of you out there that typically have to read a page twice because your mind wanders are going to have a longer read here, but I'm telling you, it's worth it. It's a very, very valuable book. I've already found myself talking a lot about some of the stuff that I've read and thinking very wisely about ways to apply it to my profession. So this is one of those books that I'll rabbit ear, underline, highlight, and reference back when I'm writing emails in the future, I'm sure. Highly recommend Influence, The Psychology of Persuasion by Robert Cialdini. I'm Bobby Dietz. Thanks for listening to this book review, and we'll see you in the next one.